Hello, it's me, Kyle. Welcome to Give Pause Hobby, the channel where I stop to appreciate the things I love to fill my free time with. Today we're back with another episode of Solo Section, where we teach the rules to soloable games. This one is going to be different in a few different ways, 3 of them I believe. First of all, it's going to be for a game that is only soloable. I mean, you could do it co-op, but it's pretty much just solo, which there will be those in the future. Haven't been so far in this segment, but there are more that I have planned for that. 2, it's for a game that I made. There are only a few of those in the world. And so welcome to something new. And 3, I think it's going to be a shorter video. Now, filming Kyle, can't say that for certain. Only editing Kyle can. But I love me some long videos, teaching the nitty gritty of how rootbots work and all that sort of stuff. But it's kind of nice to have some shorter stuff too. And I'm sure as viewers, you can agree. So editing Kyle, what did you say? Shorter or longer? All right, so today we're talking about what came out of a conversation between my wife and I in a family ride in our van, 6 hours to see my parents who live a little bit further away. And in this conversation, we were discussing how my wife has this enormous knowledge, this bank of film trivia. She can make so many connections between actors, directors, all their filmography and everything. I typically cannot. There is an amount of knowledge I have in that field, but it is very small, and hers is very large. Not just by comparison. I think by any comparison, it's quite large. So I was coming up with, as my brain is wont to do, a game that takes a simple concept of a game that we often play where she's like, give me 2 actors and try to make them as dissimilar as possible. And she sees how few of connections she can make between them. The best are when I give her 2 that I think she'll never ever connect, and she's like, oh yeah, this movie or whatever. I'm like, oh, nuts. So again, my brain just kind of spinning, coming up with its own thing. And that's where we came up with Kate's game. So in this game, this kind of I think, whether you talk about it 6 Degrees of Kevin Bacon or like a film telephone, as you're going down the line, seeing how many connections you can make. Or honestly, what it wound up being is obviously looks nothing like this, but it winds up having the same feeling as almost like Sudoku. Because if you ever played Sudoku, if you put a number down, you need to make sure it matches in both of those things and the square you put it into. And so what Kate's game is connecting actors, or as I call it, film folks, because it's not just actors, it's directors, writers, anyone involved in a film, and then the films themselves. So at level 0, you see A to B. The letters are the film folks, the numbers are the films. So choose any 2 people and then see if you can make a connection. For my example, for level 0, I have The Rock and Alan Tudyk. And then the connecting tissue is Moana. And if you don't know what Alan Tudyk played in Moana, I'll let you figure that out on your own. As you go down, these connections increase. Every level adds 1 actor, but then that adds a number of different connections. So at level 1, you have 3 actors and then 3 different films, because you are connecting each pair of actors with something. So A to B, B to C, and A to C. When you get to level 2 and you have a 4th actor, then you have 6 films that you need to connect the 2 of them. And finally at level 3, the logical conclusion, the one that we have yet to actually complete, whether her individually or as a team. I don't know how much help I'm providing. You have 5 different actors, which means you have 10 different films. So let's go up to the rules. This is not a very lengthy, this page essentially is a worksheet. This could be put out in a film class in film school. But it's pretty simple and something you can print out, The link is down below. Again, this is something I made. It is as free as you want it to be over on itch.io, itch.io, and you can download it for free and print out as many as you'd like. Have them in your go bag for any time you're traveling, if you don't get, car sick when you're doing this, or just to have around to give to someone as a thought experiment, see how far they can make it down. Right at the top, I'm just going to call it what it is. It's a cruel puzzle for film trivia aficionados. For each level, the numbers are the films and the letters are actors or production people the connected films have in common. The horizontal numbers in each level, or the underlined ones off to the right in the answer key, can be played with 3 different rule sets. So real quick, let's just take a look. Let's look at level 3, the Big Mama, we're all like seeking to complete. So in this one, we're talking about the 5 different actors, A through E, and then there are 10 different connecting arrows, but only 4 of them are the horizontal ones. So if we look over to the right, in the answer key, we see those 5 letters, A through E, and then the 10 films next to them, and the first 4 are underlined. As a kind of reminder, those are the horizontal ones. So you can play this 3 different ways. All of these films must be different, all of these films must be the same, or chooser's choice, just like the other numbers. So this page being a 1-page instruction and actual, worksheet, it's not exhaustive. There are details that are left kind of unspoken, or in the case of this parenthetical, tells you don't need to have one number, one film throughout these exercises. If you have a film that can apply to multiple pairings of film folks, great, you can feel free to use that. Now, you can imply your own challenge. I would say wait until you've completed all of these first before you start making it more difficult. But for that horizontal line, you can say these all must be different. So even if the other ones are the same, kind of the loopy ones, these ones must be different. They all must be the same. So find a film, if you want to start with an easy one, find something like the Replacements, or not the Replacements. What is the Expendables. Just to demonstrate my lack of film knowledge, I had to go onto my phone to look that up, and I typed in Statham and The Rock for how many, and film. And I came up with 2 other films I had no idea they were in together, which was one of the Fast and Furious and also Hobbs and Shaw. So again, this game, as much as I appreciate it and I have toiled away and tried my best at it, it's not for me, but hopefully it's for you. So anyways, you can make that all the same. And if you choose a movie like The Expendables or like any other like big kind of budget, who's who cast, then there's probably going to be lots more connections in that, because there are a lot of weird actors or film people who are pulled together for that joint. And that lastly, chooser's choice. Some could be the same, some could be different, totally up to you. Then, importantly, each level is its own puzzle. It isn't a continuation of the previous, though I suppose it could be as well. You could work your way up from the bottom and then, try to connect all those. It's like walking you through the stages. But to me, that was never the intent. That's not what how I would approach it, because, again, me being who I am and my small knowledge of film trivia, there would probably be a lot of erasing and hemming and hawing over what connections need to be where, because I would need to pick and choose exactly where I can use my small amount of knowledge. So if I was starting at the top, I might make a connection here that I probably should save for something that's down lower, but that's just me. And then lastly, want a twist? Switch the films and film folk labels. So, as it's written, this is kind of the classic, the game that I would play with my wife. She would say, give me 2 actors, and I'll try to connect them in as few of films as possible, or as few connections as possible. So the letters along the constellation of letters on the horizontal line, those are the actors, the film folks, and then all the loopy lines and horizontal ones are the films that connect them. But if you switch it, suddenly on that third level at the bottom, you don't have 5 film folks and 10 films. You have 5 films and 10 film folks, which would be a very different experience. It's not just a kind of like turn your brain a different way and look at the problem from a different angle. It's asking you for a completely different set of resources. There are only 5 films, but 10 film folks, as opposed to 10 films and 5 film folks. And good luck. That's the last part. All right, so let's put this to work. So in level 1, what I put together, which I'm just going to be honest, I could not do this with the old noodle. I needed to check some things with IMDb. I actually had all of these. I just needed to check my work. So it wasn't like completely out of nowhere, or rather from the internet, but it was helped. So at level 1, we have 3 actors, or 3 film folks, and 3 films. So my first one was Ben Affleck. That's A. And connected via Pearl Harbor to B, which was Josh Hartnett. So those 2 are in place. I connected Josh Hartnett to Bruce Willis through Sin City. So that's B to C via film number 2. And then connecting A over to C, Bruce Willis and Ben Affleck, is Armageddon, an old throwback. So again, that's level 1. That's essentially, if you manipulate this, it would be a triangle. 3 different actors or film folks and 3 different things that connect them. But if I did it in that shape, I wouldn't be able to have the mechanism of the horizontal films. So I couldn't use that little bit of like choose your own adventure, how you want to play. But that's essentially what you're building here, a deformed triangle. I have not done a level 2, and I for sure have not done a level 3. But who knows? There's no time like the present. Maybe I should give it a shot. So this is Kate's game that I came up with, my wife being Kate. And I think where it came from, the name definitely came from here, but also like why my brain just chose this over any number of other things to like take and just like manipulate in the background until it became like the foreground thought was when we were talking, I referenced Ender's Shadow. So small spoiler, if you haven't read Ender's Game or Ender's Shadow, alert. Stop the video, go download the links down below. For those of you who have, there's my favorite. I haven't like read all the Ender's series stuff, but a long time ago I read a few of them. And I remember getting to this point in Ender's Shadow, and it was just like this amazing moment. And I'm going to paraphrase here and then use the quote in a second, where Bean goes and like talks to the other generals or whatever they're called at that point. There's nothing that we can do at this point. It's Ender's game. It's always been Ender's game. As in like the thing that's going on against the buggers, they've played their role, but it's always been essentially built for, or Ender was like the end result of the searching for this leader, and it's all in his court now. As I said here, recontextualize Bean from Ender's Shadow. And I said, I don't freeze up because it isn't my battle. I'm helping, I'm watching, but I'm free because it's Kate's game. So again, in the book, it's this really impactful thing because it shows this like very heady intellectual individual in Bean saying like he's free to make these like thought connections and do whatever he thinks, like try something out, because the responsibility is not weighing on him. And the same thing when we are working on film trivia, like every now and then I might like throw something out and then Kate will be like, they weren't in that movie, or thank you, but you're thinking of a different actor. And so I'm free to make these like attempts because the weight of our success is not weighing on my shoulders. it's always been Kate's game. And if we're playing film trivia. And so that's both the rules and the history of Kate's game that I made and I recently polished up, put out into the world. And again, link down below. If you are a film buff or you know someone who is, go ahead and print this off. It doesn't cost very much, and give it to them and see how far they can make it. Again, it is not sequential. Tell them that. Level 0 is essentially just part of the instructions. There is no challenge there, hence level 0. But I'm sure that there are some out there, like my wife Kate, who would love the challenge to see if they can complete level 2. Level 1 is pretty doable. Even I did that one. But if they can complete level 2, or even beyond that, level 3, in which case, galaxy film brain. So, in any case, thanks for tuning in, taking a pause with Give Pause. We have a lot of fun things that are planned coming up this summer, coming up to the end of the school year here, and some solo section stuff, some more like root stuff, some Cuba Libre stuff, some just kind of a little grab bag of everything. I actually have a little bit of a plan out like several weeks in advance, which is not something that I typically have in place on this channel. That may or may not surprise you, probably not. But anyways, it got a lot of fun stuff coming up, and I hope to see you then. And until then, happy gaming, and go enjoy finding out how much or little you know about films.